On behalf of His Excellency Ahmad Farooq, Ambassador of Pakistan to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, I extend a warm welcome to all of you to today's Tech Talks organized by the Embassy of Pakistan in Riyadh. We are honored to have Mr. Tariq Khan as our distinguished speaker for today's session. We are also pleased to welcome representatives from several prominent Saudi companies who will be participating in these Tech Talks. The agenda for today's event includes opening remarks by the ambassador, a presentation by Mr. Tariq Khan on AI, the story of the new wave, opportunities and risks, question and answer session, and concluding remarks along with the discussion on the way forward by the ambassador. Without any further delay, I would like to invite His Excellency Mr. Ahmad Farooq to deliver the opening remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Shafiq. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum to all the participants today. My name is Ahmad Farooq, and I am Pakistan's ambassador to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I would like to welcome all of you to the first of the series of Tech Talks which we plan to organize at the Embassy of Pakistan. The Pakistan Embassy has been making efforts over the last almost year and a half for deepening links between the tech sectors of Pakistan and the Kingdom, as we believe that both countries have a lot to offer to each other. Pakistan has a mature IT sector, and that has developed over decades. And we have some of the best companies in the world which are offering IT services globally, as well as developing new products through R&D. Information technology is a main priority sector under the Saudi Vision 2030. The Kingdom aspires to become one of the leading nations in tech globally. Significant investments are being made for developing capacities of local human resource and startups, and now we are seeing a thriving tech ecosystem in this country. Greater collaboration between the tech sectors of both countries would therefore be mutually beneficial, which includes direct interaction between tech companies and startups and G2G interaction. The objective of these tech talks is also to help deepen these links by providing an opportunity for knowledge sharing and making the participants aware of some of the cutting-edge work that is taking place in the information technology field in Pakistan. We will be focusing on different areas such as AI, machine learning, cybersecurity, fintech, digital transformation, gaming, and more. These talks are being sponsored by some of the best IT companies in Pakistan that are offering a variety of services globally. Today's tech talk, as was mentioned, is focused on artificial intelligence. The topic is AI, story of the new wave, opportunities and risks. Our presenter is Mr. Tariq Khan. Mr. Tariq is an enterprise strategist for AI transformation. He is working as Vice President and Head of AI Practice at VisionNet USA and Systems Group Pakistan. Systems Group is also present in the Kingdom as Systems Arabia. He has co-founded Gen AI product startups to lead the transformation of healthcare, life sciences, and insurance industry from the front. Tariq leverages his multidisciplinary subject matter expertise to catalyze AI transformation of processes for Fortune 500s, achieving ROIs crossing $1 billion. Before we start the presentation, some housekeeping announcements also. Mr. Tariq's presentation would be for around 50 minutes, and thereafter we will have a Q&A session. You could raise your hands to ask questions, and we would also welcome your comments. Questions could also be posted in the chat section, and we will take them up. Your mics will be muted at the beginning, and you can unmute them when you desire to ask a question. This session is being live streamed on the Pakistan Embassy's Facebook page, and its recording will also be available on our YouTube and Facebook platforms. So let's begin. Over to you, Mr. Tariq.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, and thank you everyone for joining today. I'm humbled, and it's my pleasure to be speaking to you today. and I would appreciate engagement in the end, and I would be more than happy to help or to understand from you where the industry specifically in Saudi Arabia is going. So please keep your diaries and questions ready, and we'll talk in the end. So the topic is AI story of the new wave, and then we'll talk about some opportunities and risks. So why did I choose the AI story of the new wave? Because compared to the last 2 years, before the last 2 years, I would say, the audience participation has grown tens of folds, because now almost everybody is an AI user or an AI stakeholder after the ChatGPT revolution, as you all know. And that's why I wanted to tell my side of the story and my perspective of what happened in the last 2 years. Before this, when I used to give such talks, we used to just give a traditional AI introduction. And most of the time we used to assume that AI is a technical topic. Now it's more of a, it's there with us. It belongs to almost every one of us. So that's interesting and exciting, and I'll try to give my perspective. So to be specific, the agenda will be that I'll give a textbook introduction of Gen AI, and then I'll tell my story of the new wave, and then I'll shed some light on the generative AI use cases that we have seen and the industry is seeing that are popular and that are more pragmatic, I would say. In the end, I will talk about the ethical considerations of AI, the risks, and the pitfalls. Because without that discussion, an AI talk is not complete, and governments and corporate sector both have deep concern on that section. So that will also be interesting. In the end, we'll do interactive conversations. So first of all, let's talk about the generative AI. What is generative AI? The new buzzword. So any data set has artifacts, and artifacts can be images, sentences, or even numbers. And generative AI learns from those artifacts, some patterns, and then generate artificial artifacts that are similar to the input artifacts, but are not copying those artifacts. So that is the main function of generative AI. And the examples and modalities that generative AI predicts are text, images, videos, audio, computer code, synthetic data, and structures.
Now, sorry, but what's the purpose of this meeting? You know the AI or?
Sorry, can you repeat the last sentence?
Yes, I mean, is it about educational purposes to know about Gen AI, or?
It's about it's about our perspective as a company of how we are seeing Gen AI to transform different sectors, and how we are approaching the responsible and the risk side of AI.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because I see like we are familiar with Gen AI, and but I don't know the main goal. Yes, okay. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, so this slide is for the context, so I'll request us to go through this. I'll quickly go through the main elements that I'm intending from this slide. Does that answer your question, Umar? Okay. So the interesting thing is structures, and structures can be design, it can be physical object, it can be antenna patterns, and that will impact the industry a lot. We have started from text. Images is also taken care of, video is taken care of, audio is almost taken care of, code is doing very good, but structures, when it is at its pinnacle, there will be a lot of transformation, the true transformation. And structures can be used in drug discovery, they can be used in material design, they can be used in industry-specific problems. And then most of us have heard that Gen AI is a subset of deep learning, which was a subset of machine learning, and which was a subset of AI. So as I was mentioning, I'll give you textbook definition, and then I'll give you my perspective. So AI consists of all the problems that mimic human intelligence and their solutions. And then when data is used for predictions, predictions of numbers or prediction of decision, it was called machine learning. And machine learning was further refined in a subject which is generative AI, in which we generate the artifacts that machine learning has seen in the data, and it doesn't plagiarize or copy it, but it creates new ones that follow the pattern of the input. Now, when we ask a question in a forum that why this time after ChatGPT the AI was adopted so heavily, millions of people adopted it in a very short time. So some answers come that it is because it is textual, it is because it understands more of your emotion and meaning. There are so many mixed answers. In my opinion, the adoption of Gen AI, the new wave, all the hype that we are seeing in the last 2 years compared to the last 7 or 8 years, is because of the instructableness of the models. And I'll give you an explanation of that. So before the ChatGPT revolution, large enterprises and serious stakeholders used to invest in machine learning to make models that do one thing. And one thing is a loose definition. So, for example, sentiment classification needed to be planned first, and then the model needed to be made, and then it will give you positive or neutral or negative responses. 3 responses. The purpose was known it is sentiment classification. Then, if you want to do summarization at that time, you would train a model that will do summarization for you. It will take a text and then it will give you a summary text, and you can rarely expect anything else from this model. Although there are some creative uses of summarization model, but mostly it was purposed for one purpose. Similar is the translation task. You train it for one to another language, and then it will do that. What changed then? Models like T5 came, where they said the model can translate one English sentence into another. How about adding the instruction in the English sentence? So they divided the sentence into 2. The left side of the sentence was the instruction, and the right side was the input. And the model knew after training that I need to consider the first part as instruction and the second part as the input. So you can see T5 takes translation hint, and then it translates English to German. Or it take another hint of language acceptability, and then it comments on your badly created sentence. So it is saying this sentence, which is gibberish, is not acceptable. And then it can also do semantic similarity. It can give you scoring. So this gave researchers some hope that you don't need to make one model for one task. You can make one model and expect it to do a lot of things. So the instructability research flared up, and OpenAI team did a lot of work on instructable architectures. And the pinnacle was prompts. So if you go back to this slide, it's only 4 or 3 words for instruction, and now you have this whole paragraph. And as of today, you can have a prompt that is bigger than 10 pages. Now, this prompt can can add any problem, almost any problem that a common practitioner in the industry can think of. And it has usually popularly 3 pieces in it. We assign the model a role, then tell some story to it, what happened, and then we say, now what you need to do for me. So there are infinitely many combinations in this prompt, and that's why the new wave included everybody. The accessibility, the AI equity, the reach to AI for everybody was mainly happened because of instructability, and the leapfrog happened when prompts were possible. And that's why ChatGPT was, when launched, it was so popular. So if you compare the previous machine learning tradition, mostly it used to be trained using numbers, which mathematicians and mathematically trained AI programmers are good at. And it used to predict things like trajectories of robots or spaceships and weather pattern forecasting, or even if it was used for customer recommendation in retail, it was always predicting numbers. Those numbers need to be converted somehow to make some sense. You cannot expect deep meaning out of it. But after Gen AI, there are millions of the books in the world, and if some of those books are given to Gen AI, you can expect solution for any problem, because majority of the problems have some overlap with the books and the written text on internet, etc. And this has become the norm, and it will keep that way, unless there is a other deeper medium than text for instruction. So instruction in text is the pinnacle. It will be leapfrogged further if another medium more rich than text evolves in the current AI. Then another big hope for industrial transformation is multimodal Gen AI. So a quick explanation of multimodal Gen AI is that if you only provide text and it gives you text in return, it's a unimodal model. But if it can comprehend multiple modalities like images, text, audio, and produce images, text, audio, then it's a multimodal model. So the good thing about this is that you can provide an image and give a prompt, hey, this is an image of a horse, describe it, and it will say this is a horse, or this is a brown horse, or whatever it sees in the picture. So converting your information from one modality to another is the industrial, the sign of revolutionizing the industry. And why am I saying that? Let's take an example in telecom. Telecom folks have been using simulations to change the transmission power of their network, of their base station, the tilt of the antenna, and the height of the base station to somehow achieve the required power of the transmission, RSRP in this case. So you have to run 100 simulations or more to somehow get this red triangular spot on this map. And you will arrive at the right power, right tilt, and right base station height, and then you will get this red spot, which is your county or your town or whatever that you want to highlight with the transmission power. What Gen AI is going to enable is, it's not currently doable, but what it is going to enable is, you can simply take MS Paint or some other tool that allows you to draw the pattern on top of a map. I'm just oversimplifying it, but you'll use any GIS software to draw the map of the power that you require. And Gen AI will be able to tell you what transmission power, what down tilt, and what base station you need to use. So give one modality, and it will spit another modality. You don't need to run simulations, and the simulation software used in telecom or any other industry will slowly go out of business because of this future telling, or this telling in one shot. Now I'll talk about use cases in various industries, and the first use case which systems is heavily invested in is medical documentation. And medical documentation starts from patient talking to the physician. And in some countries, physicians face burnout because they need to type a lot of notes. And most of the time they're busy in taking notes and patient is ignored. And there are a lot of errors made because when you're documenting and also hearing patients' concern, you tend to do errors. So usually what happens is the doctor and patient have a conversation. After patient checkout, the doctor sits and converts whatever they remember to clinical notes. They type it into an EHR, and the typing is done in a SOAP note format. There is a note format called SOAP note. And of course, it's a thinking exercise, and you don't want to make mistakes. SOAP has 4 sections: subjective, objective, assessment, and plan, SOAP. And after that, there is a medical coder sitting that assigns codes to what the doctor has prescribed, or the procedure the doctor has prescribed. Those codes then decide the billing and the revenue management. Now, AI is transforming both of the steps. Coding is not an easy step. Writing SOAP notes is not easy. It is tricky. It takes 2 to 3 hours of a physician after the patient's leave in the evening. And GenAI solutions are solving both of the problems. The GenAI app listens to physicians and patient conversations, converts it into text, and after 5 minutes, that text is converted into SOAP note, precise notes written in medical language that describe what was discussed and what was suggested. That SOAP note is then passed to AI medical coder. That medical coder assigns codes for insurance and billing. And that whole life cycle is automated, and EHR only is used for storing that information, or if somebody wants to edit it tomorrow when the AI has generated it. Another use case in pharmaceutical industry is predicting the clinical trial success before it happens. And in pharma research, there are thousands of data sets available to do these things. Compressing those data sets into useful outputs that can save patients difficulty or that can save financial cost is the tricky part. So what GenAI does is it takes the drug molecule information that is being used in a clinical trial in the future, the trial protocol that is created for the trial, the disease and its different aspects of the disease, what happens to the target, what happened to the body, different organs, and then some toxicity experiments that were happened in previous trials. That information is also available on the internet. There is hundreds of thousands of clinical trials. Detail of those is available on online websites, and all of that information combined is given to AI models, and AI model can then predict whether the pharma company should target that trial or not. A trial can cost from 5 million to 20 million or even more. And if you know in advance that this trial is going to be successful, that's a huge cost saving on the patient's part and also on the pharma company's part. So what's happening is before every trial, the AI is enabling pharma company to see out of 30 trials, which trial they should go for and which trial they should cancel, either because the patients are not enough in number or the patient will face bad side effects and they have to stop the trial, or any other reason. But they can stop the trial before happening. Virtual screening is another process in pharma where out of 700 or 800 molecules, AI can reduce the candidate molecules to only 15 or 20. What are candidate molecules? So once they decide what drug target they are going to attack with the molecules that they are using as a drug, then they use the molecular interaction data, the target related data, and they make chemistry based chemical libraries. Every molecule has surrounding neighbor molecules, so that makes libraries. So all possible molecule libraries and the target information is given to a machine learning model, so that machine learning can give you prioritization and scoring on which versions of those molecule libraries are more prone to become drug and which are more less likely, which molecules are less likely to become drug. So drug likeness and other features are predicted. What that does is you don't have to go and test 700 molecules for toxicity testing. Toxicity testing can be done on guinea pigs, or it can be done in the lab. And there is a huge difference between testing 700 molecules versus only 20 molecules for toxicity. This reduces the filter, reduces the search, and saves a lot of cost and makes the drug discovery faster. Then another area which Systems Limited is deeply involved is making new digital biomarkers. So Parkinson patients usually are asked in a clinical trial to visit a physician and then do some tests like finger tapping. So you can see a subject in the image. They're asked to tap the finger with a thumb. And there was a manual technique, and now it is being automated with a camera in your laptop. So the camera video is converted into a skeleton of a hand, and then the tips of thumb and the finger is identified, and then the motion of the finger is plotted against time. You can see it. Sometimes the patient is tapping it fast, sometimes the patient is tapping it slowly. The slowness is represented by the width of these peaks. So the wider the peak, the slower the tap. And then this graph can be analyzed visually, of course, but it again will be difficult to tell whether the patient, how deeply the patient disease is, how severe the patient disease is. So this profile of tapping is passed through machine learning, and a motor performance score is assigned. So there are 5 stages of motor performance score here, and at which stage this patient is. So the benefit that the trial is getting is that they can do decentralized clinical trial where the patient sits at home and test their Parkinson's severity. This use case is about automating the job of a technician in a factory or in operating any machinery. So the first requirement for automating a technician board is you need to get all the technical manuals that are used in your plant or any machinery that a technician is working on. And then select a model, most probably a public model, and then create some chaining and some agents, and allow semantic search to find the responses and cut short the hundreds of pages of manual reading into very precise answers. So the technician can ask, what do the code P0011, P0012, and 16 are common with each other? How are they common with each other? So the answer is very verbose. It is saying these are trouble codes, and they are about camshaft and crankshaft. And there are other ways of this question, like if my crankshaft is bad, what codes can I see? And you can see in the small font that there are almost 10 codes given for a crankshaft error. So you don't need to go and read pages and pages of manual to decide. It will stitch information from 3, 4, or 5 pages and give it to you in one go and with precision. Citizen services is seeing a lot of impact from Gen AI, and the benefits that citizen service can achieve from Gen AI optimization and Gen AI Center of Excellence are given here. So you can improve the empathy of your citizen services teams. You can make sure right to access of information can further be standardized, so that hurdle to right to information is reduced. Supervisory control on how citizens are treated is a good one. You can know very well in which conversation citizens were not treated well or not served timely. Referrals to other departments, ticket routing, etc., is automated with high accuracy. And then for the employees of government offices that serve citizens, errors can be reduced through Gen AI. Standard operating procedures can further be standardized. So what do I mean by that is that if there is some loophole between multiple SOPs, thorough reading of Gen AI can either highlight that or can point that out. And then SOP retrieval. You need very experienced employees to find about SOPs. Nobody wants to read those big books of SOPs for departments. Education is disrupting in a big way. Intelligent tutoring system have been there, dialogue-based tutoring systems. But this time with Gen AI, they almost always make good sense, and the explanation is commendable. Teachers rarely can match up the quality of explanation. Exploratory learning environments. So there has been advancement on a programmatic front. So you can ask AI, hey, run a Python code and make an animation for pendulum motion, and it will make an animation in real time, and you can give your own values and play with the pendulum in parameters, and you can solve so many numerical questions using that animation and that Python app that Gen AI will make for you in 5 minutes. So exploratory learning environments is a huge plus, and that is going to revolutionize the classroom activities. Automatic writing evaluation. The difference between good schools and bad schools, one of the differences that their writing and test and quizzes are not thoroughly checked, and the feedback is not given thoroughly. So automatic writing evaluation will give equity of education quality and examination quality. And then language learning, of course, is being improved because Gen AI knows a lot of languages without explicitly training them. Tutoring chatbots and learning analytics. Gen AI can keep an eye on which class is getting best teaching experience and which class is lagging behind in the teaching experience. So learning analytics is a big plus. And augmented reality, virtual reality has been there, but it will improve with Gen AI. Then I'm going to talk about some financial services use cases, which also can be thought of as customer service use cases. So in the claims industry, we have seen that Gen AI is reducing a lot of errors and a lot of manual work. So what I'm showing here is a Gen AI bot that compares the two calls for insurance claim. So in the first call, the customer talked about 3 things which are differently color coded, and the same 3 things are discussed in the second call again, yellow, brown, and pink, and yellow, brown, and pink. And in one call, they had a slightly different explanation of the damage. In another call, they had a slightly different explanation of the damage. So Gen AI is keeping an eye on how the narrative of a claimant is changing, and it is giving contradiction analysis to the claim supervisor, the claim adjuster, and it is also highlighting the risk factors of how to treat this claim because the person is changing statements. Then the claim department wants to prioritize their claim processing effort on claims that are urgent and severe. And the claims that can just be accepted without any investigation or anything, they just want to accept it. So here we are showing one of our GenAI model that is evaluating policy and the claim report and is giving solid decisions that, hey, ignore the first scenario where there is low priority because it's a minor car damage, you have to pay the claim anyway, so don't waste time and just accept it. While there is another claim where there is some damage and maybe some negligence is involved in the damage, so you can save some claim amount by investigating the negligence. So put your effort on that claim. So scenario 2 is prioritized. Scenario 1 is just a typical car damage. You have to pay it anyway, so just ignore it. So claim prioritization is being done here in this use case. And then inconsistency analysis. Claim is being looked into from 3 lenses. Car is damaged, so what is the difference? What is the type of damage that you can see in a picture, and AI is doing that, and it is listing the type of damage that is seen on the car. And then there is a police report which says there are damages 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then the person that is claiming is adding 2 more things here. I've highlighted it. Windshield and broken side mirror is added further, and police is not suggesting that the windshield and mirror was broken. Neither is it visible in the picture, but the person is trying to claim it. The claimant is trying to claim it. So it has highlighted the inconsistency, and the claim agent can know from the get-go that there is some fraud going on. Now I'll talk about the ethical considerations for CIOs and also for leaders. So AI and GenAI has already started to see some unintended uses like opinion manipulation, civil unrest, monetization and profit through GenAI, scams and fraud, harassment, and many more. I've also a list of things on the left side like impersonation, appropriated likeness, sock puppeting, and governments in different parts of the world are heavily investing in listing all those possible risks and then making strategy and frameworks for mitigating those technically and also through legislation. In our experience, these 8 governance aspects of responsible AI are crucial for any project. And we have seen that in our enterprise implementation, and we are addressing those. So fairness and bias happens when your data give preference to one type of population. And the mitigation is to pre-process data to reduce data bias. And in the end, when you deploy the model, make agents that keep watch on the outputs and reduce biased outputs. Hallucination is another thing which is very popular, and people make a lot of fun about AI for hallucination. And it's when AI gives false answers, but it doesn't know that it is giving false answers. So RAG is one technique where AI is asked to only read from the PDFs or the data that we provide and not speak from its own knowledge, so it doesn't hallucinate. And data fine-tuning also reduces hallucination. So there is a lot of effort going on in different research centers of the world on hallucination reduction. IP risk is that somebody has written a poem and then GenAI writes the poem in that style, or somebody has written a scientific patent and GenAI writes another patent in that style or on that topic. So the mitigation is to filter the data that has copyrighted material, or train models on non-sensitive data. Safety is another concern. AI can give, there is a chance that AI will give suggestions that will affect safety of children or safety of individuals. and strict pre-deployment testing is required to ensure safety. Companies like Facebook and other customer-facing company have a lot of experience in AI safety, and there is a lot being published by these actors for ensuring AI safety. Regulatory compliance like GDPR and other healthcare compliances are crucial, and any AI startup is required to spend on those aspects, and thorough documentation, human review, and tracking is required to keep it regulatory compliant all the time. Tracking of logs and other behaviors is compulsory by some regulatory standards. Talent is one aspect that we help our customers a lot, where we give them training plans and how to imagine your talent training and onboarding, and how to keep them on continuous learning paths and coexist with AI. Homogeneity is a big risk, because if only one brain is guiding the productivity and decisioning of an enterprise, when that one brain, which is AI brain, goes south, then everybody's decision-making power goes south. So diversification effort needs to go into your model training and model deployment. And then interpretability is a big concern, but we have seen that it is being solved more and more because of the agentic and RAG-based applications, because these applications take every decision while giving the evidence of where that decision is coming from, and you can record each and every sub-decision of a decision for interpretability later. So we have seen a lot of progress on that in our implementations. I'll skip this and I'll talk about the lessons for the CIOs. This is inspired by a work of McKinsey, and the lessons are simple: focus on what truly matters. So the suggestion is that don't start with the use cases like making an HR assistant bot that helps your employees know their number of leaves that they can take. Focus on the business problems that are really going to transform your one of the department of your enterprise. If you start on non-important use cases, you will lose support. You will lose the impact promise that you're giving in the eyes of your stakeholders. So start with something impactful. Prioritize integration over individual components, which means that if you spend a lot of effort on making the model more intelligent and not invest into the security and privacy and integration with other softwares, the model will be very intelligent, but you cannot create impact without these other components. So think of integrating it rather than making it intelligent in a box. We need to control costs soon. So what happens is the decisions are taken sporadically: buy this model's subscription, buy that model's subscription, and buy a tool that can make it responsible, and buy a tool that can do the logging. And when you keep buying those tools, the cost escalates, and you need to think of how to do cost saving. There are so many ways of saving cost, like using small language models for the tasks that don't need very high intelligence, that will reduce your cost. Streamline tools and technologies in the beginning so that Gen AI use case implementations are smoothly done, and there will be so many new tools coming, but you need to choose tools that are future-proof, so that you can focus on new use cases rather than switching tools every 6 months. Build value-driven teams. Excuse me. What this means is that don't only hire AI researchers or computer programmers in your center of excellence. Your center of excellence of AI should consist of SMEs, engineers, legal teams, and so many other disciplines, so that combined they all can think about value proposition rather than making very intelligent technology only. Target the right data. If you don't have a certain data that would be nice to have, be realistic and only focus on the data that you have and mold your decisions and use case choice based on the right data that you have. And the last one is my favorite, reuse code to accelerate deployment. So GenAI code reuse can be realized when you theoretically divide GenAI capability into 4 or 5 boxes. So in our insurance framework, we made an engine and we called it inconsistency analyzer. So whichever department in insurance there was 2 documents to be matched, we presented inconsistency analyzer engine. That code is reusable for inconsistency analysis. You can use it in claims, you can use it in underwriting in the insurance industry, you can use it in product, you can use it in any department. So what I'm saying is theoretically divide the functionality of GenAI capabilities, make an engine for that. That engine will be your reusable code. And then label it whatever you want for whatever department. So with this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you all for listening, and I would be excited to talk more if about your questions or comments or whatever thoughts you want to share. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tariq Saab, for this very, very interesting presentation. As I had mentioned in the beginning, the purpose of arranging this talk by Mr. Tariq was to share information about the work that is going on in Pakistan relating to artificial intelligence. And what we are looking to achieve from this is create opportunities for collaboration in terms of learning, in terms of developing more connections between businesses as well as other institutions. So thank you very much for this talk. And now the floor is open for any questions or comments. You can go ahead and raise your hand, and we will invite you one by one. So thank you. The floor is open. So Tariq Saab, I'll ask you a question. It was very interesting, the different use cases that you presented in your presentation. And one of the immediate fears that I felt was that Gen AI is perhaps going to overtake humans very soon in terms of the jobs that they are doing. So how do you see that part in the future, that people will start losing jobs as Gen AI takes up more of the functions that they were doing?
There will be some, it will shake things up a little, but mankind has come out many times from such disruption and transformations. So before the aeroplanes and trains were invented, the travel frequency and the travel habit of travel was, if I want to put a number, it was 100 times less. You have to save money, and then you have to find a company that has a cabin service with 2 or 3 horses, and then you find partners, and then you want to be safe while traveling in the jungle. So travel habit was not there historically in before last 1 or 2 centuries. So with disruption, we took job of those cabin drivers, but then travel increased and people in transportation are getting more jobs. If you go to an airport, there are so many jobs that are all transportation related. So efficient transportation did not steal transportation jobs. That's my answer. And AI will do the same. It will, like we're already seeing there are so many roles. I was managing an AI team. We used to have 3 types of roles. And with Gen AI, that role slide in my PowerPoint has become 7. So we are now offering 7 types of engineers for Gen AI. Previously, we used to offer 3 types of engineer for AI. So what I'm saying is Gen AI will only increase the avenues and the places where we need help, and businesses will transform, and that's why they will still require more people. Just like airline industry that I mentioned. Jobs are not going away in the longer run, but in the shorter run, yes, it will shake things up a bit.
Thank you. Now, another question that I would like to ask you is that how do you see the potential for collaboration between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia? We are aware that your company is already present here as Systems Arabia, and I'm sure you have looked at this market in terms of collaboration in this sector as well. So how do you see that happening in the future?
Yeah, so we are already being reached out by the petro industry, the oil and gas industry in Saudi, and we are in the process of exchanging capability and doing proofs of concepts of AI to optimize a couple of their processes. The smart building and the residential projects has a lot of potential between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia in terms of AI and intelligent decision-making tools and optimization tools. For example, smart grid management, making new materials for energy sources, and managing electricity and water in those new residential projects that are being planned heavily. Manufacturing, I already mentioned. The rethinking of healthcare and the insurance fabric in Saudi Arabia that is happening. This will benefit a lot from AI. As I was mentioning, one of our startup that is automating the medical care documentation. This will be very useful when Saudi healthcare goes more towards the insurance-based healthcare, because insurance then require evidence-based coding and everything in more capacity. So Pakistan can help there a lot. We have not only AI companies that can automate healthcare processing and documentation, but we also have multiple companies in the country that already do healthcare workflow automation from Western Hemisphere healthcare companies and hospitals. The work comes to Pakistan and then they process. So we have a good resource pool for hiring locally in healthcare workflow automation through AI and through other automation tools.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think we have now run out of the 1 hour time that we had scheduled for this talk. So I would like to conclude by, first of all, thanking our presenter today, Mr. Tariq Khan, for giving such an insightful presentation. And I would also like to thank our partners for organizing this talk today, which is SADAIA and the Ministry of Communication and IT. So thank you very much to both the organizations for assisting us. And also I would like to thank all the participants that listened in today. Inshallah, we are hoping that Dr. Tariq will also come in as a speaker at the Global AI Summit, where you would have the opportunity of listening to him in person and meeting him as well. And in the coming days, we will organize more similar talks on other interesting topics. So thank you very much once again, and Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Take care. Take care.
Thank you very much, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, everyone.